All right, thank you guys so much. We have a very exciting video today. We are finally going to be diving into time as an intensity. I've wanted to do this video for a long time, but I knew I had to wait for a moment where I knew I had it. I was very nervous about getting time as an intensity. I didn't just want to get it as a rational understanding, an abstract concept, even though that's great. But, you know, think rationally, right? Rationally, we engage with rationality almost like second nature. It's nothing. It's even people, even your idiot friend can be rational. You know, let's go to work, be there on time, that kind of thing. I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat. Very, very simple. It's intuitive. It's non-conscious. It's automatic. And I'm hoping to get like that with time as an intensity. Excuse me. And I think I've got it. I think I've not only do I have it up here, but in here, not the heart necessarily, but the chest. I think I've got it, which is to say, I think I've got it on an experiential sense. I think it's becoming second nature, which makes me more comfortable talking about this. Now, this is a very important topic because time as an intensity, you will not see that in any other understanding of time, obviously, not in magical pre-timelessness, or timelessness, I should say, excuse me. Not in mythical temporicity, you won't find it. It's still this external 2D polar thing. Excuse me, sorry, just ate some Mexican food. And then, of course, you won't see it in the rational notion of time. Time as a spatialized partitioner and severer. This spatialized partitioned unit that is assigned a numerical value, and it has this sort of ordering schema. It's got nothing that's external, of course. We've talked about that. Now, that brings up another good point. I would say, if you really want to grasp this, I would say watch my What is Time video before this. Unfortunately, we might be able to talk about irrational time just for a quick second like I just did, but I'm not going to be able to give an entire history of time. I have an article, if you like that, Substack. I'll leave a link to my Substack in the description if you like it in written form. Sometimes I think I take in information better in written form than audio form. Excuse me. And that's a necessary. that is a prerequisite. I'd be a little lost if I were you, if I hadn't watched this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So time as an intensity. This is very, very, very difficult to get your head around because, of course, we live in a society, as the meme goes, and obviously we have to integrate the world as it is. Not this neutral, abstract space. It's not the 18th century. It's not BC times. It's now. It's 2025, and of course nowadays we're in the rationalist world. We're in this unholy mix of everyone's a 3D rationalist, but we're all living in a 4D world. That is all to say. It might be a little difficult for you to get your head around this time, but I've actually explained this to people who aren't really into this intellectual stuff. Like I say this respectfully, like my mom. She's a normie. You know, she's a smart woman. She doesn't give a damn about Gebser or Heidegger or any of this stuff. And I was explaining it to her, and she got it pretty quickly, so hopefully you'll get it. Hopefully by the end of this video, I say this, it's a little hyperbolic, but I'm also being serious. Hopefully you'll have your life changed by the end of this video. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So every present moment, excuse me, every present moment is the non-conscious realization of a quality. That is something very important. Every moment, literally every moment, whether it's when you're happy, whether it's when you're sad, whether it's right now, maybe I'm focused, whether it's you're just kind of sitting on the couch watching the Ravens play or whatever it is, you are always non-consciously realizing a quality in any particular moment. It's very important. So time can be understood extensively. Of course, that's the rational time, like I said, but it also is intensive. It is an intensity, really, and it just sort of appears like an extensity. So as I said in my other videos, each moment is qualitatively distinct from the one that preceded it and the one that will proceed it, in accordance with quantum mechanics, of course. And then when you think about that, think about the phrase, "the moment has passed." What does that mean? It sounds like it was the moment for something and not other things. But if it's the moment for something and not other things, that signals that there is an unequal value system here. It sounds like some moments are qualitatively distinct and require different qualities than other moments. Time is the intensification of quality in the present moment. That is what time is. Certain qualities are revealed throughout time, depending on what you're doing. And note, of course, the connection to space. So when you're doing something, let's say you're with your ex that you hate. I don't know why you would be, but let's say you're in a room together and you hate it. Time will reveal the qualities of tension, frustration, and annoyance that you feel and embody, right? So I'm with my buddies. I'm having a good time. We're about to expand on this. Obviously, I'm not referencing the 20 minutes as a measurable sense. That's neither good nor bad. It's just completely neutral. I'm having a good time with my friends. I'm realizing in the present moment, unconsciously, positive qualities. And then my ex walks in, and then she wants to talk to me. And now we're talking, and then the mood has changed. The moment has shifted. I was having a good time, emphasis on the quality. Now I'm having a bad time. How could you have a good time and a bad time if all time is equal? There would be no good or bad. It would just be time. And of course, the reason why you're having a bad time with your ex is because you are non-consciously realizing, embodying, or living out, if you will, the qualities of, like I said, tension, frustration, annoyance, irritation. Things become clearer when you reminisce and look back. And of course, if you haven't kind of picked up on now, this is just kind of wetting our beak, getting into it. A lot of this is direct experience. Really doesn't have a ton to do with abstract, static thinking, divorced from direct engagement with the world. You will be able to get this automatically, irrationally, rather than imposing space between you and the object of reflection and doing all this abstract system stuff. So as we kind of mentioned earlier, we have good time versus bad time. Have you ever considered the implications of that? I can absolutely guarantee that you've both used these terms and you've experienced these phenomena. So in your life, even if you had come from tragedy, I guarantee you had a good time at some point, all right? And I guarantee you've also had a bad time at some point. We are going to be digging into the implications of that statement. Also, as I just hit my microphone, please remind me or let me know if you're still hearing any audio problems. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. I do not want you guys to sort of endure unnecessary technical difficulties for no reason. So let me know. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Okay, so when someone says they have a good time, they are not referencing time in a quantifiable sense, that somehow the mere hour-long duration is good, whereas the 2-hour-long duration, for example, is bad, right? So when we say you have a good time, you would never say, oh, that's right, he had a good time because he had 30 minutes at the bowling alley, and he had a bad time because he spent 2 hours. That it just doesn't make sense. No one would ever do that. They would look at you rightfully like you're crazy. So what they're referencing is the quality of presence that occurred during this allotted time span. That is what they are talking about. So when someone says they had a good time versus a bad time, what they are referring to is the quality of presence that occurred during this allotted time span. Presence being tied to direct experience rather than, again, this abstract systemization. So if you had a good time, you're essentially making a qualitative evaluation of the events or actions that took place during that time span. Same thing with a bad time. So let's say you're delivering, we're going to get into a bunch of examples, so don't worry, because examples are going to make this come to life. Think about when you let's say you're delivering DoorDash, and you go up to people at a pool, and they all got big smiles on their face, they got beers, and you go, you look like you're having a good time. Of course, you're not referencing time as a measurable phenomenon. You're referencing time as a qualitative phenomenon. And what are you referencing? This sort of internal field of presence. Interesting. So, for example, I had a bad time watching the most recent Manchester City game. Why? On paper, I'm spending 2 hours engaging directly with something I love. How can this be a bad time? So think about it. I'm watching my favorite sport and my favorite team for 2 hours. Now, this is important, too, because I work on weekends, and unfortunately, I'm not able to watch their games just because I'm at my job. So I should be having a great time. I actually get to engage with things that enrich my soul, RIP, and make life meaningful. How can I possibly have a bad time? Because we lost and we didn't play well. I realized the qualities of anger and frustration during that time period. So I believe it was against Tottenham. We did not play well, and from essentially the 10 minutes in up until the 90th, I was irritated, I was annoyed, I was tense. Those were the qualities that were revealed in time. Those were the qualities that I was living out, as I say. The point is, it's not an abstract imposed space and then make a subjective overlay. It's got nothing to do with that. Excuse me. This is why some losses hurt more than others. The moment of pain or realization of loss is the surging forth of a greater intensity of quality, right? So losing the World Cup will hurt a whole lot more than losing some friendly to Uruguay. Why? In theory, they're both played on paper. Or, excuse me, in theory, they're both equal on paper, both played over 90 minutes. It's the quality. People care more about the World Cup. So the qualities that are realized when either playing in or thinking about the World Cup are greater or more potent. This is why when Lionel Messi finally won his World Cup, which, by the way, some of you guys, you reveal your lack of ball knowledge. When you say things like Lionel Messi can't be the GOAT until he's won a World Cup, that would be true if the World Cup came every year. Because you guys keep comparing it to the Super Bowl. Imagine if Tom Brady never won the Super Bowl. Yeah, Messi has won the Super Bowl. He's done it 3 times. It's called the Champions League. I have no idea this is a false comparison. It's stupid. Dumb. God. Please, Americans, please, show respect. So when Messi won, right, why is it that he started crying after that game? Because time intensified in the present moment, and he realized in with strong intensity the qualities of humbleness, humility, gratitude, thankfulness, love, all this stuff. Having said that, if you go back to 2009, when Messi's playing a friendly against Ecuador, he's not going to be crying at all after the game because no one cares. This is why people anticipate the World Cup, because moments, that is to say when the World Cup happens, are qualitatively distinct, which say we think these are qualitatively superior than your friendly games against Timbuktu. No one cares. And so, in some sense, the 90 minutes played during the World Cup final are superior to the 90 minutes played against Belize or whatever, despite their identicality when it comes to measured time. So that is good time versus bad time. What you are doing when you say that is you are referencing not time as a quantifiably measurable aspect, but a qualitative intensity. You are referencing the qualities that you have realized during that time span doing that thing. Okay? When I ask you, did you have a good time in high school? You're going to say either yes or no, and then you're going to list out a bunch of qualities. You're going to say, I was nervous, I was anxious, or you're going to say, I had a great time, I had friends, I was personable, and it was fun. You're not going to go, oh, it was 4 years, so therefore it's good. No, that's not what people are talking about. Okay, so let's get some examples. So we have an hour at work at the factory before break. So we have an hour working your shift at the factory before you can take your break. There are 2 ways to view this. Quantitatively, in this view, time is an external duration consisting of equal moments that simply endure or pass by. The worker is simply waiting for the time to pass, which, ironically, makes the time feel slower. Time is an intensity, a qualitative intensity. As such, the qualities that he is non-consciously realizing are dissatisfaction, resentment, and bitterness. So when you have the disillusioned, objectified factory worker, and he has an hour, and he's not viewing it as time as a quality, but time as a quantity, and the perpetual dinging or ringing of the clock, and it just goes, and it feels slow, and he's not doing anything, and he's not living a proper life. Why is he having a bad time at work? Because the qualities that are being revealed and that he is embodying and realizing are negative. Like I said, resentment, bitterness, dissatisfaction, boredom, tediousness. That's what happens when you view time as a quantity. At best, he can master time by not paying attention to it and blindly hoping this will magically improve his attitude, or the realization of the quality one is realizing. It's never going to happen. But because he does not take time as an intensity seriously, this will be limited in its efficacy. So you can try doing this, I'm going to master time by trying to ignore it, which is to say to ignore the time as an external measurable. It's better, but you haven't actually done anything because you haven't done the time as a qualitative intensity. So what happens when we have the one worker who views it as quantity and another worker who views it as quality? Let's see the differences. So the qualitative worker, the worker who recognizes time as a quality, recognizes that time is a carrier of qualitative presence. As such, the hour-long span, emphasis on the temporal, could present itself as boredom or satisfaction. 10 minutes into his shift, he feels boredom, like a cog in the wheel, just like quantitative guy. What is happening is that in the moment, emphasis on the temporal aspect, he is recognizing that he is realizing the quality of boredom. Boredom is not a desirable feeling, so instead of resigning himself to the depression of viewing time as a mere quantity, he recognizes the quality of the actions that take place in the allotted time span is the key point, and sets off to change his attitude. So no longer is it just a dead hour that you feel. No, you are doing something at work, which means it is a potential to reveal qualities. How does he do this? He recognizes the qualities that are disclosed during the work process, the time you spend working. So, as a factory worker, he is non-consciously realizing the qualities of care, rhythm, patience, and attentiveness. That's what you do when you're a factory worker. Care. You have to be careful of what you're doing because you have to, obviously, just like any other job, you don't want to mess up. You have to be attentive to make sure that the parts are operating smoothly, that you are entering the parts into the machines properly, that you are removing them from the machines properly, that you are storing them properly, that you are recording them properly. I used to work in a factory. And then, of course, you have patience. That's another quality that is being revealed in this moment. So, of course, how could it not be? You have hour at work. It's not exactly fun. It's a little tedious. This is how it's a qualitative opportunity for presence to improve your ability to be patient. When his actions are viewed merely quantitatively, they become depressing and soul-destroying. When they are recognized as expressions of quality, the work process becomes far more meaningful. Excuse me. Not only can he lose himself consciously and non-consciously in the present moment, offering an experiential satisfaction and feeling of connection to the world, but also begins to view himself with more dignity. He's not a mere factory worker, but a disclosure of care, a personification of patience. I'm going to repeat that because I think that was well written by myself. He's not a mere factory worker, but a disclosure of care, a personification of patience. So this is the whole point. I am no longer just a factory worker, mindlessly acting as if I'm just a cog in a machine. No, I don't care how lowly my job is to society. Every job reveals a quality, even a janitor. So a janitor, who, more power to you, respect you guys, I love you guys. I was always nice to you in school because you guys were nice to me. A janitor also reveals the quality of care, of attentiveness. He has to clean up disgusting and perhaps poisonous waste, because if he doesn't, kids could get sick, school could get closed down, people could die. Obviously, that's terrible. So that's what he's doing. He's a disclosure of care, a personification of patience. He is not just a mere factory worker. To call him a mere factory worker is to assume that there are no qualities being revealed during the work process. That is bull crap. This is what the left gets right. Work is not just this mindless cog in a machine where you come in, you do the factory stuff, and you get out. No, you are non-consciously realizing and embodying qualities, and that needs to be respected. And that's what the left has gotten right. I think they sometimes take it a little too far, but they get it right. The right does not get it right. The right, remember, the right is more rational. So, of course, when they go too far, they are going to be rationalist. So they are going to view workers as cogs in the machine, empty vessels or chess pieces that you can move around and to get things done, and you become a number on a paper. That's it. So no. Okay, and another example is concentration camps. Now, this is a very intense time, of course, right? So think about this, right? Your time at a concentration camp is obviously going to be qualitatively distinct from your time sitting on the couch watching me get destroyed in FIFA. All right? Clearly. But if you view these two moments, if you will, like the rationalists do, as external continuous duration, well, then they are equal. But of course, they're not equal. Why are they not equal? Because the qualities realized are so completely different and so intense. So take Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish man who unfortunately had everything taken from him. I mean, he had a life's work he was working on. And the Nazis came in and just threw him in the camp and worked him. And then thankfully he was freed. And he wrote this book called The Man's Search for Meaning. It's a very good book. It's not like, it's not like incredible, but it's a good book. So the whole point of the book is that this idea of logotherapy. And logotherapy is essentially, what it really is an exaltation of what a purpose can do to man. How having meaning and purpose can literally save you, because of course you're in these unbelievably dire conditions. So what he noticed was that when he was in this concentration camp, those who had a purpose, those who had meaning, survived, and they willed themselves into the next day. Those who despaired died, either through being worked to death or they were too weak. I don't mean that as a disparagement of character, to be clear. I just mean maybe in a physical sense. I don't mean that clearly. These people are just put through just awful circumstances. But to the Germans' eyes, let's say, they were too weak and too lazy, so they were killed. But of course, those, as Frankel said, so what's happening here? What's happening here? We got a bunch of people, or let's say two people. We got Viktor Frankl with meaning and some other guy with no meaning. They are both enduring the same circumstance at the same time. Time at a concentration camp has intensified, so they are both non-consciously realizing the qualities of fear, dread, we'll get to this in a second, despair, pain, suffering, anguish, torture, all these things, obviously, right? And not only that, they're experiencing them at a very high intensity for a very long time in a measurable sense. So it could be years, right? Obviously, it's a very unique situation. What happens? One person, Viktor Frankl, seems to be consciously aware of time as a quality. He recognizes that no, this time that I'm in this concentration camp is not just a mere measurable duration. It is a felt presence, which is why everyone is so depressed here, because we're all being worked to death. So whether he realizes it or not, he has non-consciously or maybe even consciously picked up on this idea of time as an intensity, because once these non-conscious realizations become conscious, now we have room to work, right? So, of course, Viktor Frankl is going to have many moments in the day where he's going to say, I am in so much pain at this moment. I am in so much pain at this moment. I am despairing in this moment. Now that I'm conscious of it, now that I'm aware that despair and pain have come to my consciousness, I now have the ability to do what I can, to employ quantum logic, to change my attitude, to view this as a moment for a qualitative improvement. Maybe instead of pain, I could view this as an opportunity to improve my ability to be patient and to endure pain without growing hatred. You could do something like that. To be clear, I am not giving you this dumb self-help, everything's going to be great just because you change your attitude. I'm not saying that the conditions, obviously, at the concentration camp are not terrible, and they will not cause in everyone this extreme despair and pain. I'm not saying if you respond in a way that's depressed, in this depressing situation, you're like a loser or an idiot or something like that. I'm just saying you're in this situation. You're already going to endure this pain. Recognize time as an intensity and make the most of it. Make the best of it. Not saying that magically the Nazis will just look at you and go, wow, he's got a really great attitude. Let me just free him. That's not what I'm saying, okay? I'm saying you're going to face this no matter what. Same thing with your factory shift. You might as well recognize the boredom and pain pressing to your consciousness and do something about it. Change it. Okay. So next up we have my daughter. And of course, I won't be saying too much about my daughter. The singular moment that I witnessed my daughter recognize me and smile at me for the first time was superior than the past 2 years in total. I want you to think about that. We have one moment that was about 1 to 2 seconds max versus 2 years. How is it possible that this one moment, in a measurable sense, or how is it possible that this one, in a measurable sense, how is it possible that it is superior than 2 years? Obviously, in a measurable sense, 2 years is superior than 1 or 2 seconds. I'm not referencing the measurable aspects. I'm referencing the quality of the felt presence. That's what I'm referencing. The moment of the yew tree is equivalent to a century of the rose. So why did I feel this way? Why did I feel that way? Because the moment carried the qualities of love, beauty, appreciation, gratitude, and purpose, and it did so with a strong intensity. The love I felt in that moment is qualitatively superior than the 10 hours I spent working yesterday. There you go. Time is a quality. And then we have, let's say you're a father and you want to have, bonding time with your child. So let's say, well, I have a daughter, and I get very excited to come home. I call it daddy-daughter time. How sweet. And I want to have daddy-daughter time so I can be with my girl after a long day of work, and it's just good for the soul. Great. So am I really excited about the hour that am I excited about 60 minutes, just 60 minutes in a measurable sense? Of course not. I'm excited about the qualities that I will be realizing during the hour and a half I spend with my daughter. It's not going to be the 90 minutes. It's the qualities of love, appreciation, joy, beauty, all that stuff. When I'm at work and I don't have the time to get through the shift, which is to say that the qualitative presence that I am realizing is boring and seemingly insurmountable, I remember a single moment with my daughter and the qualities of love, joy, and meaning that I now realize as a qualitative presence have revitalized me. I'm anticipating being with my daughter, not because I get to spend 10 empty minutes with her, but because of the quality of said 10 minutes. Excuse me. The moment, or a series of moments, is qualitatively distinct, right? We can tell because I'm at work and I'm not, it's not like I'm angry or upset or anything like that, but I'm in this sort of malaise. I want to get home. I want to see my girls. And it's just so much better being with my daughter than being at work. It's not even close. So I'm in that moment or series of moments, I'm recognized a certain quality, annoyance, frustration, whatever it is. But then in one singular recollection, I remember my daughter in 1 or 2 seconds, and then boom, intensity comes up, and now my mood has changed. And then when I get home, it's even better because I get to be with my girl. As I was writing the notes, I had her next to me for this video, and when my girlfriend wanted to take her back, I was hesitant because I had felt that I had not enough time with her, not in terms of minutes, but love and appreciation. It's not like she was taking her from me or anything like that. Or I guess in a certain sense, yeah, in minutes too, because they used to work together. So those were some examples. We'll get into some more. Let me give another example, actually. So I was talking to my girlfriend in bed, and we were talking about our daughter, and she said something like, be thankful because we're not always going to be around. Of course, she's going to go to school and maybe have babysitters and stuff like that. We're going to have to get life back. And I realized, I said, yeah, that's true. And you know what? I had a little pang of pain because that's not something as a new father I want to be around my daughter as much as possible. So think of what happened here. I'm talking to my girlfriend. We're having a normal time, or we're having a good time. I remember she made a joke, and I laughed. So in that moment, I was laughing. I was non-consciously realizing joy, pleasure, yada, yada, yada. Then she made that comment, and then in the next moment, which is qualitatively distinct from the moments in which I was laughing, I felt pain. So we went from laughter to pain. Because I was consciously aware of time, and because I saw pain pressing to me, I said, in this moment, I am realizing pain. Why am I realizing this pain? Well, it's because I'm going to miss being with my daughter. Why do I even care about that at all? Because I love my daughter. I love everything about her. So, very important. I took a moment that was not consciously realized as time as an intensity, turned it into a conscious moment of time as an intensity. Then I got up and I walked over to her and I sat down and I just stared at her, and a little tear fell from my eye. How sweet. How sweet. The point is, I went from a non-conscious moment of realizing pain. Because it became conscious, I investigated that pain and found meaning in that. So I would have, non-consciously, if I didn't know time is an intensity, my girlfriend would have said that. I would have been pained, not because she said anything, insulting, she was just stating facts. And I would have went to bed upset or irritated or something like that. But instead, as it became in my conscious, I changed it and created a meaningful moment with my daughter, and that leads to a meaningful life. So I think that's a good example. All right, so now we're going to go to moment-to-moment transitions. By the way, we're going to get a lot of examples because I really want to beat this into your head. We're actually spending more time than I thought I would be. Okay, but that's okay. All right, so I remember once my friend needed his shift. Oh, this made me feel bad. Shout out to my old buddy Todd. I remember once my friend needed his shift covered due to an important event. He asked the group chat, and one of them said they would take it. Upon receiving this message, he yelled out, "Yes," and shot a fist up to the air. Now, I was there physically next to him when this happened. The appreciation, gratitude, and relief was obvious to anyone not named Helen Keller. So for the hour before that, he was non-consciously realizing painful qualities because he realized, oh, I need to get this shift covered, and if I don't, I won't be able to make my grandma's funeral, whatever it was. And that's a painful experience. So he was irritated, right? And then my buddy texts him, who I also work with, of course, and says, hey, I'll take your shift, no problem. So we went from an hour of pain. He picks up his phone, notice the connection to space, picks up his phone and goes, oh, Christian said he'll cover my shift. And the joy on his face lit up. He got a big smile and he threw his fists in the air. Notice the qualitative transition from moment to moment. But then he read the next text message that read, quote, psych, I'm just effing with you. So in one moment, he went from extreme elation, emphasis on the temporal aspect, extreme elation, and I was physically there. The second he saw that follow-up text, it went from extreme elation to extreme anger and frustration. The moment of recognition of the first message brought about positive qualities, whereas the second brought about negative ones. This is a moment-to-moment transition. Key moment is the key point is these moments are distinct from each other. They are not a continuous external duration. And not only are they distinct as recognized by the qualitative oscillation, but the fact that they are recognized internally, it's got nothing to do with external. He's not mad. He wasn't really happy because 236 came about, and then 237 came about. Nothing else happened, and then he got upset. It's ridiculous. Another great example is film or music. For an hour, you had a good time watching the film. Time watching the film brought about the realization or presence of positive qualities until the plot twist comes. Then, all of a sudden, you hate the film. 1 second ago, you loved it. Now you hate it. The new actor or plot thread or cliche now brings about the realization of negative qualities, frustration, disappointment. Think Sunshine by Danny Boyle. It's not like amazing, but it's a pretty good movie for the first hour, 20 minutes, and then they do the plot reveal, and I was into it. I was engaged while I was watching that movie. The qualities I was non-consciously realizing were focus, attentiveness, care, presence, all the stuff I was in. I was hooked. It was distinct from moments in high school when I was not hooked. I was not attentive. I was on my phone trying to get laid. Got nothing to do with that. And then, of course, once the reveal comes, everything changed. I almost didn't even finish the movie. I became angry and frustrated. Music, too. So maybe I'm listening to the song Red Death by Griselda, the rap group, Benny the Butcher, Conway. So everyone's killing it. Benny the Butcher's killing it. Conway Machine's killing it. Rome Streets, West Side Gun, everyone on that track is killing it. And then, all of a sudden, you get to the Jay Worthy verse, and his verse brings that amazing song with that hard-ass beat and those great lyrics to a grinding halt. Every single time. So every time I'm listening to that song, when his verse comes up, I skip it. Why? Because that section or time span brings about what I subjectively view as negative qualities. So in the same song, it's like a 7-8 minute song. For the first 4 minutes, I am happy. This is why music I label as time activation. I was happy, I was excited, I'm focused, I'm into it. These are the qualities I was not consciously realizing. Then Jay Worthy comes in and ruins the song, and these nice qualities change to negative qualities. Of course, this is impossible if all time is equal, and it's a continuous duration. Movies. Oh, I just talked about them. Okay, so now we're going to skip to general phases. Or general phrases, excuse me. So we're just going to do general phrases that you've heard a trillion times, that you've said a trillion times, and you probably have never thought of the implications of. Have a good day. They're not referencing the measurable time span. They're not saying the 24 hours is good, because if 24 hours was inherently good, you would never have to say have a good day or have a bad day, right? Because it's all good, and obviously that's ridiculous. But they're obviously the quality of presence felt. I don't have time for this. This is a big one. Not time as an extensity, but time as an intensity. Let's take the shopping cart example. I put my groceries in the back of my car. I leave the cart. My girlfriend says, I never do this, by the way. My girlfriend says, hey, are you going to stop being a piece of crap and actually put the cart back like a mature adult? And I just pout like a little child and I say, I just don't have the time for this. No, you do have the time for this. You know why you have the time for this? Because it takes 1 minute, if that. Of course you have the time for it. You have a minute. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to meet the president. You have time for it. Aha. Of course, when you say that, you're not referencing time as an extensity, but time as an intensity. So when you say, I don't have time to put the shopping cart back, yes, you do, in an external sense. What you're really saying is that there are qualities in that 1 minute span that reveal energy, some degree of care, attentiveness, patience. I don't know, patience. That's probably what it is. In that 1 minute, you have to realize the quality of patience because it's tedious and you don't want to do it. But you, in the present moment, do not have a sufficient amount of patience required to meet the demand. So therefore, you don't have time for the shopping cart, even though, of course, in a certain sense, you do. All right, next one. I need to kill time. Viewing time as a spatial container, ironically providing a good example of time as a qualitative intensity, seeing as the statement arises when boredom is pressed to your consciousness/being, though they'll never see it. So when you say things like, I need to kill time, what's happening is, in the present moment, you're realizing that, hey, boredom is coming up here. And so why are you killing time? Because you want to kill this boredom. You don't want to kill the time itself. You want to kill the boredom, okay? Same thing with filling time. When you next time you say that, you be thankful that you recognize time as an intensity and say, instead of boredom, I'm going to change this into something else, and we'll get into how you can do that later. You don't kill time. You don't fill time, and if it comes to your consciousness that you should, that's a gift. You have just been given a gift, because now the boredom and the negative qualities that you're non-consciously actualizing, realizing, or embodying have become conscious, and now they can be manipulated and turned into positive traits. All right, next one. Quote, take me through that moment. You see this in interviews all the time. I think I was watching like it wasn't even political. I was watching like a Megyn Kelly interview. It wasn't even politically related. And she said, take me through that moment. Why? Why would I take you through a second or even 1 year if it's just a passing time? What's there to say? Not talking about them. They're talking about the quality, the intensity. Let's stick with politics and like sports, for example. Remember that Riley Gaines chick? I'm not super familiar with her. But there was that Leah Thomas dude. And Riley Gaines was competing against Leah. And she said, no, I'm not doing this. This is clearly unfair. I'm a biological female. He's a biological male. This is obviously going to have an advantage. So I'm not doing it. So she got a ton of crap. Like the next 2 or 3 days. She was locked in some broom closet or whatever it was for 5 hours, unable to leave, and the police wouldn't help her. This is a qualitatively distinct moment. So let's say Megyn Kelly brings her on and says, take me through that moment. Why did she ask her that in the first place, if not a non-conscious realization that the intensity and the qualities of that moment are distinct and interesting? It has nothing to do with the 5 hours itself. There you go. You're looking like you're having a better time than I am. We kind of talked about this. Maybe you pull up and you're like, oh, they're at a pool. You know, all I'm doing is driving around being miserable in my bad mood. I'm having a terrible time. You guys are having fun, so you're having a good time. Oh, this is a big one. I said that in a moment of anger. This is a big one. The moment of anger was not a subjective opinion somewhere out inside you, but the quality that was experienced and lived out. Excuse me. Anger is what charged your actions, pointing them towards certain ends. You wouldn't have said that in a moment of anger. This is not just subjective opinion that presupposes some degree of stepping back from direct reality, imposing space. This is about lived experience in the moment. So if, let's say you walk into your house and your girlfriend's cheating on you, you might say things in that moment of anger, which is not subjective. It is as real as you can get. That's another thing. Think about moments of extreme anger in your life. Was that subjective? Or were you living out that quality? Or was that time inherently meaningful in the sense that it was charged with a quality that gave it its distinctive stamp? That is what time does. Every present moment is charged with a quality that gives it its distinct stamp in terms of quality. There you go. So when people are So when people say things, oh, I said that in a moment of anger, what they're really saying is, I non-consciously realized anger to such a strong intensity that I felt like I was forced to say that. It's not who I am. There you go. Beautiful example. Okay, so now we're going to move on to important moments in history. Moments, not all time. Moments in our history. Moments are not equal. They are distinct. Perfect example, 9/11. Listen to me. 17 minutes from 9/11, this one 17-minute span on one day was more qualitatively impactful than the entire 10 years that preceded it combined. From 8:46 to 9:03, the second that second plane hit the second tower, the entire world would change. One moment, 1 second. The second that happened, the entire world would change. Not only in America, but also globally. So this was a discontinuous moment of extreme intensity that brought with it the qualities of fear, despair, and dread. So as such, people were irrational and driven by these qualities, which politicians capitalized on by using emergency powers far beyond the scope of the original intent and created laws like the Patriot Act that destroyed our freedoms. This one moment, like I said, it was more impactful than all of it. You can take all the bills that were passed, things that were said, and laws that were broken, combine them in terms of quality, and you wouldn't come close to the qualitative impact of a single morning on 9/11. Not even close. If you want to have a really good example of time as an intensity and how it differs from moment to moment and depending on the circumstance, watch on Netflix. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Just watch the first episode of the 9/11 documentary and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. To be clear, let us think of what is happening. They are bringing you on a Netflix show to talk about a particular moment that was qualitatively distinct. It's not bringing you on to talk about the moment where you were sitting on the couch, shoving your hand in a bowl of Doritos. Okay, no one cares about that. This particular moment. So they asked him, they said, tell me what it was like on 9/11, and what is the first thing take me through that moment. What are they going to point to? Qualities, fear, panic, dread, despair, nihilism, whatever, anger, whatever it is. The last thing they will ever say is, oh, it was 17 minutes. They will never say that. They will always point. I've watched the documentary, and there it was. Every single person, they talked about a moment. You can make a drinking game out of it. Anytime they say, take us through that moment, or what was that moment like, they will always start off. The first sentence will be, it was fearful, panic, some quality. It's a perfect example. Okay, another great example. The 2008 financial crisis, another discontinuous event that just sort of happened. This one moment, or series of moments, whether you want to judge it by the intense few days in which the stocks fell the furthest, or the years after where everyone's 401k was halved and all of the stress and worry that was present, so you could do it either way, right? So you could have those 1 or 2 days where everything just collapsed. That was obviously a very intense moment, but it was also intense by the year or two after that because we had to deal with the fallout of that. So, you can kind of chop it up in a sense. This moment or series of moments was perhaps the most impactful economic moment in 20 to 30 years. Maybe COVID has something to say about that. New laws, new regulations, new taxes. This one discontinuous moment. New laws, new regulations, new taxes. Not good. An abundance of new that came about in a short but intense moment of time. In 2000, perhaps, none of these laws would have been passed because time was not intense enough to bring certain qualities to presence, the effects of which would inspire the creation and passing of these laws. So what happens is, when you have moments of extreme, particularly negative intensities, but sometimes positive, fear, despair, panic, this is when politicians come in and say, hey, I can alleviate the fear in the present moment. Why don't you just give me your power? Give me that. That's what they do. I apologize. I don't know what's up with me. Okay. Let's see. You will do things in moments of extreme intensity that you normally wouldn't do because the intensity of the negative qualities that you are non-consciously living out are so unbearable that the act comes as a relief. Think Theon in Game of Thrones. Apparently, the time spent being Reek is qualitatively superior to the time spent as Theon. Great spatial circumstances, so which is to say, when you become a slave, essentially, and you completely lose yourself, cause a great time intensity, and who knows what will happen after that. So Theon, during the normal parts of his life, is a completely different person than Theon when he was Reek. That time span where he was captured by Ramsay Bolton, literally almost a new person. So there you go. That's why it's always better to be conscious of these things. And then maybe I'll do another video talking about the implications, but we'll talk about one of them. So if you haven't noticed, this is the key to better social skills. I don't see how it could be any otherwise. It's the key to a lot of other things. It's a key to a meaningful life, and maybe I'll do another video on that entirely. But we'll do social skills here. So when you enter a new social environment, you immediately feel a presence or quality in the newly intensified moment. So when you're in a new social environment, not going like I did for 2 years to play poker with my buddies and smoke cigars. That wasn't really new, was it? If I'm walking out with my friends and I'm ready to walk into a bar because we want to go get laid, I might be having a good time insofar as I am non-consciously embodying the qualities of joy and satisfaction. So we're outside, we're just got done at one bar, we're trying to bar hop, we're talking shit, looking at the pretty girls. Great. I'm having a great time. But when I open the door at the building I'm walking in, I immediately realize that I've made a mistake. It's not a bar, but a funeral home. So I think I'm going into a bar, but I accidentally made a mistake, probably because I'm drunk, and now I'm going into a funeral home. Immediately. I'm talking immediately, discontinuously. The present moment intensifies and brings forth the qualities of surprise, realization, and perhaps confusion. This is what you're non-consciously realizing. As the moments pass and the shock wears off while the realization intensifies, I feel the grief and pain filling the room at the present moment. So I get in there, so I have the shock, the realization, oh shit, I'm in a funeral. Now, in this present moment, I'm engaging the qualities of the moment, of the people. Very somber, very serious, very reverent. Aware of the qualities of sadness and grief, these negative qualities, I use that to my advantage and show people the kindest grace as I leave the building. This is good timing. I ask them if they need anything. They say no, but one person is so impressed by my tact that he gives me his number and offers me a job, claiming that when things calm down, to call him. All of this because I recognize time as an intensity and turn this non-conscious feeling into a conscious skill. So I recognize the qualities charging the present moment in the present circumstances, and I worked with them. I did not work against them. I am consciously working with them, and now I'm reaping the benefits. Not only do I got a new job offer, but I get new people that like me, people are showing me respect, and my soul is enriched for doing the right thing. Same principle with parties or more enjoyable situations. You walk into a room and hang out and observe for a minute. People are having fun, so in the moment, the qualities of satisfaction, joy, and excitement are pressed to your consciousness, lived out. Or you recognize that people aren't mingling and that they're giving each other dirty looks. The qualities that distinguish this moment are uncomfortable and off-putting. As such, you can try to lighten the mood or just listen to these negative qualities and peace out. Depends on what you want, what your disposition is. So if you go in there and everyone's having a good time, let's say you're having a bad time for whatever, maybe you didn't want to be there in the first place. Okay, well, now everyone's there. Everyone's having a good time, man. Why don't try to have fun? Give yourself permission to have fun. That's what I had to do. Use the present moment to your advantage. Use the intensities, the discontinuous intensities, as a life raft to paddle you to safe waters, which is, say, to have a good time. You don't have to live out this determinism in the allotted time span of when you feel bad. The moments you feel bad are exactly that, moments. They are not your lifetime unless you're clinically depressed. Use it to your advantage. And you can do whatever you want. If they're not having a good time, it really does depend on what's going on. You can say, okay, no one's having a good time. I'm just piecing. I've done that before. The point with both of these situations is that with conscious recognition of the qualities that intensify whatever spatial external circumstance you face, you can use it for your own benefit. Having a good time, lean into it. Maybe find out why you are, the connection between friends, community, your attitude. For example, why am I having such a good time at this party? Oh, it's because my friend's here. Why am I having a good time at the bar? Oh, it's because I'm talking to this girl I like. Why am I having fun at my factory job? Oh, because I changed my attitude. Now I'm having a great time. So once you investigate these things, work with them. Use them to improve your life. I have a great time with my girlfriend, so I'm going to spend more time with her. I have a terrible time with my sister, so I'm going to stop spending time with her because I don't care if she's my sister. She's abusive. Use it. Be more social and friendly. Take on an even better attitude. Just whatever it is. Having a bad time, identify why. Is it honestly you or is it them? If you really do have a good attitude and you're trying to spread joy, but it just isn't landing for whatever reason, and every time it doesn't land, you feel intensely uncomfortable in the moment, find a new crowd. Sometimes, I remember, I like to think I'm a relatively social guy, but I remember my old high school buddy invited me to, I think it was his graduation or celebration for a bachelor's, whatever. And I was there, I obviously want to support my friends, so I went there, and it was like a cookout thing. And I didn't necessarily have a bad time, but it was, I have to admit, there was a certain degree of uncomfortability. The quality of uncomfortability kind of characterized that moment or that time span. And because my sense of humor just didn't quite fit in with theirs, and it was just a little bit of tension, but that's the thing. So you know what I did? I recognized, now this is before I read Gebser, I recognized I'm not having the best time. I showed up to support my friend. I'm going to peace out of here. And my buddy was like, okay, thanks for coming, man. I'll see you. There you go. Now, why is everyone else having fun, but I'm not? Sometimes there's a good reason. Sometimes everyone else is having fun because they're all degenerates who are doing heroin or something, or they're all having fun because they're bullying someone. And then, no, you don't want to do that. But if you can investigate these things, there you go. Maybe it's your attitude that is messing it up. Why am I having a bad time, but everyone else is having fun? Is it because my attitude sucks? Is it because I'm non-consciously realizing the qualities of boredom, tension, and annoyance in this moment? And now that I'm aware of these, I can consciously change these and live a better, more meaningful life. Is that possible? There you go. Let's see. And let's say you're at the party, right? Let's say I would have more fun playing video games. Think about what you've said. I would have more fun spending time playing video games. Time, fun, quality. Than I would have at this party. There is clearly a qualitatively distinct aspect here. I apologize for being so repetitive. This is a new concept to you guys. I am trying to get it into your head. I apologize. Let's see. Okay. So, the man who recognized that all moments carry a quality knows that he can turn any moment into a pleasurable or meaningful one. He is thankful for boredom. The integral man, the time as an intensity man, which is me, is thankful for boredom because said boredom reminds him that he has the power to change his circumstance by changing his attitude. You are not determined to be bored, and when you become conscious of it, then you can change it. If boredom had never pressed forward, if he was never able to recognize its presence internally, he would never have the opportunity to overcome it, and without the opportunity, he must resign himself to boredom, leading to a meaningless life. So boredom is a gift. Why be bored when waiting in the dentist lounge? You're bored? Good. Now that you're aware, give yourself the gift of the present moment and find meaning behind that boredom. Give yourself a challenge. Can this non-conscious boredom be an opportunity for me to create a conscious, meaningful moment that will enrich my soul? You're going to have to wait in the dentist's office either way. You might as well have a good time, okay? Or you can continue to be a miserable rationalist. Up to you. So if I know I'm going to do something that generally is a bad time at waiting at the DMV or whatever, so instead of just sitting there and doing this ridiculous rationalist staring at the clock, oh, it's 10:33. Is it going to be 10:34? How much line? I think it's going to be 40 minutes. Oh, no, they just took a break. I think it's... Okay, instead of doing that, you recognize, wow, I'm really bored and really kind of irritated. This is really not a fun, meaningful life. Now that I'm aware of time as an intensity and I can make this non-conscious qualities conscious, how about I give myself a challenge? How about I recognize that boredom is not necessarily just boredom, but could be an opportunity for calmness, splendor. Recognize the calmness in this boredom and lean into it. Recognize the peace, tranquility, as opposed to moments where maybe I'm at work, maybe I'm on a roller coaster, maybe I'm doing something intense, something physically intense. These are distinct times, and yes, it can be seen as boredom, but now that I've changed my attitude, I can feel deep in the tranquility, the peace, the calm. This is far more meaningful than just this meaningless boredom. Or we can say, all right, I'm really bored. How about I give myself a challenge? I'm in the DMV, I'm just standing here with a bunch of other people I don't know. What if I try to create a symbol out of this situation? What if I try to create a symbol of the DMV, in modern times. Maybe I wanted to make a rationalist symbol. How does the DMV symbolize rationalism? And now, for the next 30 minutes, you have a challenge, my friend, and you are going to be realizing the qualities of focus, care, attentiveness, presence, all that stuff. You think that's better than boredom? I do. Once you start seeing this, there's no going back. So, as a little challenge, what I want you to do is I want you to scare your mother. So sometimes I used to do this purposely, or sometimes I kind of accidentally. So let's say I was out, out with the boys, and I come home, and when I was younger, and my mom is up, and she's making something in the kitchen, and she doesn't hear me come in, right? All the lights are off, and she's just kind of chilling. She doesn't really hear or see anything. She doesn't know I'm there. So I walk in, and I walk into the room, I say, "Hi, Mom," and she just goes, "Oh my gosh. Oh, you just scared me." Think about what has happened. Moments of calmness. Time was streaming like a current. She saw me, boom, and it intensified and brought with it an intense quality of fright. And she experienced it. She felt it. It was not a subjective overlay. It was direct experience. Like I said, once you start seeing this stuff, there was no going back. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned something. I hope this changed your perspective. I really do. I hope not to sound too arrogant, but I really do kind of hope this changed your life to an extent, because it definitely has changed mine. You will be able to use this to your benefit. You will look like if you take this seriously and don't put a measurable time span on, don't say, "Oh, I have to get all time as an intensity in the next 3 days or the next 3 years." Don't do that. But you, even just by watching this video and understanding these examples and concepts, I think you are going to be so far ahead, because now you're going to be able to know, is it an appropriate time to ask my boss? How do I know it's an appropriate time? You reference the quality. Is he in the mood? Is he realizing the qualities of acceptance, love, patience, whatever it is? Or is he non-consciously realizing negative qualities? Pain, suffering, whatever it is. Take comedy. Comedians. Why does a comedian have good timing? Well, it obviously has nothing to do with 10:37 p.m. on June whatever. No, he's referencing the quality of the situation. He knows when to make a joke because the quality is ripe, and the comedian has an intuitive sense for this. It's good to make a joke now at this moment because it's contemporary, or it's inappropriate to make a joke on this September 12th, 2001, because the qualities that are being realized by everyone are very serious. They're very reverent. They're sensitive. Sensitivity is one of them. That's why Gilbert Gottfried, when he made that joke, he lost millions of dollars. He could have understood timing. You understand timing, you don't make a joke and lose millions of dollars. So there you go, Gilbert. I love you guys so much. Hope you guys learned something. Let me know. Please let me know if there's any audio problems. I really hope there's not. I tried to fix it, but I love you guys more than anything. You guys are the best. You guys have fulfilled my life. My time spent with you has been soul enriching, and I love you. I'll see you guys either tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, for the new Gebster video. Love you guys.